December 13th, 1577, Sir Francis Drake leaves Plymouth, England, to become the first, technically, the first to circumnavigate the world. Now, I say technically because now, Magellan, he got about two-thirds of the way until I think he pissed off some natives in the Philippines and died there, and his navigator had to finish the trip for him. So Sir Francis Drake gets the honor of being the first to set out to do it and make it back. Finishing is key to that. So he was the first, but this is one thing I have learned about Francis Drake. He was quite the unsavory chap. Yeah, he, as a child, I always thought, to be knighted, you were, were chivalrous and you were virtuous. And, you had to carry the moral aptitude of a saint to become a knight. Obviously, as an adult, I have learned that is not true. You just got to know somebody. Mainly, you got to know the king and queen at the time. And that was the deal. So Sir Francis Drake, he was around during Queen Elizabeth I's reign. And she liked him. She liked that he was a go-getter. And she appreciated that. Now, he got his start with his cousin, John Hawkins. Now, John Hawkins was well known, and he was a great sailor at the time. He was a man, that people knew to be a man who knew his way around a ship. But John Hawkins, he was a slave trader. Yeah. And Francis Drake was like, I want some of that. So John Hawkins became Francis Drake's mentor. They were cousins, and they sailed lucrative business, kidnapping, stealing people from Africa, because there's no other word for that, and buying them from. They would buy people that were already enslaved by tribes that had conquered them. So they would buy those slaves, and they would also, I'm sure, take, and they would sail across, and they would give and sell slaves to the Spanish colonies that had set up in the Caribbean, and along Mexico, all that stuff. Now, this is the thing: they were English. Sir Francis Drake and Hawkins. Now, they were English, and they were no friends of the Spanish, because at the time, Queen Elizabeth I and I believe Edward II of Spain, they despised each other. And they were not at war, but it was kind of, it was just going to take a little bit. So, they always kind of did things to get underneath the other person's skin. So on one of these voyages, they go in because they were sanctioned by the Queen to, basically just cause trouble for the Spanish, which is what they did. And what they did know at one point on one of these trips there, they were on different ships, and Sir Francis Drake's his ship had left, and Hawkins' ship was still there. In passing, Drake passes the Spanish Armada, which has gotten tired of their raids and whatnot along the seaside. So they were like, you know what? We're coming to protect our colonies. And so Drake passes the Spanish Armada on their way to where his cousin Hawkins is at. And he looks back and he says, he's got that. He's got it. So he sails on home. So needless to say, Hawkins makes it out. And he's a little pissed when he makes it back home. And Drake is a little surprised to see his cousin come walking off the gangplank. And kind of, I'm sure, what was like an, oh, crap, kind of moment. But he did. And they split. And, went back and forth. Drake goes in one of their trips where they had gone. Because, Drake had kind of fallen out of favor with everybody because everyone kind of thought, that was kind of shitty. That was kind of shitty that you just left your cousin there with the Spanish Armada. You kind of suck, Drake. So Drake was out to prove himself. And he decides, I'm going to go back over there, because while they were there, part of when him and Hawkins were there, he had caught a glimpse of the Pacific Ocean, and he realized that, what, on this side, that the Spanish didn't have a lot of military presence, and they weren't armed because they didn't expect anyone, from the Atlantic side to go to the Pacific side. So they were unarmed. And he kind of noticed that was some easy pickings over there. And he was sure that's where all the treasures lay. So when he was back in Plymouth and back in England and in London, trying to get back in good graces with everybody, Francis Drake decides, I'm going to get a crew and I'm going to go over and I'm going to steal all that's over there. And so he goes, as we've seen in movies and stuff where they go into bars, and put your sign here, and they did, but he did. Because Sir Francis Drake, again, he was a jerk. He didn't tell these men what they were signing up for. 3 months, 4 months, 5 months. In general, this was going to be a years and years long expedition that he didn't tell them anything about. It turned out being a 3-year expedition. So, and that, they may not come back home. He leaves with 5 ships and 164 men. And he is sailing towards the Spanish colonies that are in Mexico and South America. And they get to, now along the way, the crew is kind of thinking, this is taking a really long time. I think we've been lied to about this. And they were all a little suspicious, as they should have been. And his second in command was a man named Thomas Doughty. Now, Thomas Doughty was a gentleman, meaning he came from, he had a little money and breeding behind him. Now, he is the second in command. And so at first he sends him to another ship because he's like, I don't think I want him around. And he was afraid of him because, like I said, he was a gentleman. He had the breeding behind him where he knew people would automatically follow him just because of his family, who he was, his name. And Drake knew that his name was nothing. The only thing he had going for him was that the crew was scared of him. So he very carefully selects a jury, and he tries Thomas Doughty for treason. And amazingly, he is found guilty, and he is beheaded on ship, as was befitting a gentleman of his rank. And Drake did the honors. So the crew, this solidifies Drake, that okay, we don't want to mess with him. And so they follow him. Now, when they get to Magellan Strait, it is cold. One of the ships turns around because they're like, no, we're not going there. They lose 2 ships. Okay. They end up having to, everyone get onto one ship. So by the time they make it through Magellan Strait, only one ship has made it. And that is the Golden Hind. And of course that is Francis Drake's ship. So they start sailing up the Pacific coast, and they are, they're kicking ass and taking names because they are not armed. There is no fleet on this side. And they happen upon quite a reserve of silver. They take it, they head home, and when they get back, they are, there is fanfare and oh my goodness, they are the greatest thing ever. He is back in the good graces of Queen Elizabeth. She goes out to the ship and knights him on the ship. And, he feels, pretty good about himself, considering where he started at. Now, he also becomes a vice admiral in her armada when they go to war with the Spanish later. One quick side note, attesting to what an unsavory chap Mr. Drake was. They had picked up some slaves along the way along the Pacific coast from the Spanish colonies, and one of them was a woman named Maria. Now, they were sailing back, and she was pregnant. She got pregnant on the voyage back. And the rumor is that Drake did not want people to know that he, had a child with this woman. So they left her on an island. And that was it. That was all we know of Maria. They left her on an island. Was it a deserted island? We don't know. Was it an island with people? Again, don't know. They just left her. So yeah, Sir Francis Drake, he was a pirate and a scoundrel and just an all-around terrible person. And I feel that, let's not celebrate that man. He was a jerk. As we find out as we get older, the people that we read about in history books, not so great. But what I have up here, if you like the Elizabethan era, there is some stuff there, some pirate ship models. Hold on. I didn't mean pirate ship. It is the Golden Hind models, which was Drake's ship. And some, if you are a treasure hunter, there is some stuff in there. So yeah, there you go. Sir Francis Drake, not quite a chivalrous knight. But again, history tends to, gloss over the nasty parts. My name is Michelle. I like to sip, learn, shop. And this is my Amazon, goes to my Amazon storefront. The link is in the description if you want to buy something there. I earned a commission from it, obviously. But if not, I hope you enjoyed my little tidbit. And don't celebrate Sir Francis Drake. For the love of the Lord, don't celebrate Sir Francis Drake. Ugh.